So today's video is a Final Cut Pro tutorial video, and it's mainly around creating videos that are aesthetic. So having a certain vibe and a certain feel within the video. I've been posting videos on YouTube consistently since 2022. This past June of 2024, I recently started to post videos that have more of an aesthetic. So I decided to put this tutorial together and kind of do a step-by-step on where to go within Final Cut Pro and what tools to use to create, an aesthetic vibe, an aesthetic mood for your videos. So we're specifically going to be talking about vintage aesthetics, minimalist aesthetics, and like a pastel type of aesthetic. So we're going to kind of stick to those three aesthetics. And then we're going to move into a tutorial on Final Cut Pro. And I'm going to share all the tips and tricks with you so you too can create an aesthetic video. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so first let's talk about what really makes a video aesthetic. It's really all about the vibe and the mood that you want to tell within the story that you are telling. It's a lot about the lighting, it's about color correction, it's about color grading, it's about movement, and it's also about visual effects. So, for example, you can use vintage filters on top of your clips. You could have minimalist design when you're filming a scene. Really the possibilities are really endless. And so here are a few popular styles that you could experiment with while you're editing within Final Cut Pro. So there's a vintage aesthetic. That's, think of like retro filters, grainy textures, and a more nostalgic vibe. That's kind of where I lean towards. There's minimalist aesthetic, so clean lines, simple color palettes, and lots of negative space. And then we also have a pastel aesthetics, which is, soft, muted colors that give a dreamy and calming effect. Think of like pinks and purples. All right, so now let's jump into Final Cut Pro, and we're going to start creating. And then I'm going to walk you through some key steps to achieve these types of aesthetics, okay? All right, so we're going to start with color grading. So on Final Cut Pro, we're going to go to the inspector window. We're going to click on this triangle. So first select the clip that you want to color grade on the timeline. So we're going to select this clip because we want to color grade this first. You're going to go to the right hand corner. We have color board, color wheels, color curves, hue, saturation curves, and color adjustment. Let's first talk about the color wheel. So color wheel is for more detailed adjustments, and you can use when you use this color wheel, here you can adjust the shadows, the midtones, the highlights separately by dragging the color triangles. See here it's getting warmer and this is getting cooler. You can play with the shadows. So here the shadows are more vibrant and the shadows are less vibrant here. So yeah, you can really play around with the different options here. I like to go to global instead of, changing each, shadows, highlights, and midtones, and then the temperature. I like to go to global and it pretty much just changes everything. Moving along, we have hue and saturation curves. This looks really intimidating as well. For precise control over specific colors, you would use hue and saturation curves. So you would click on a specific color that you want to adjust and modify its hue, saturation, and brightness. And then moving forward, we have our color curve. Color curve, it looks intimidating. It all looks very intimidating. But essentially what the color curve is, it's for fine tuning, and it allows you to adjust the RGB curves or to tweak individual color channels. So pretty much you just toggle them up and down, and then you can change. Okay, And then here is color board. And pretty much you have your color, you have your saturation and your exposure, and applying presets. So all your transitions are here. And then if you go next to it, this is your effects browser. So this is your transition browser, this is your effects browser, and these are where all your effects are. So if you go down to color board and color presets, color board presets and color grading presets, here is where your presets are that you can use to really make your videos aesthetic. So you're gonna click on, let's say, okay, so they have a lot here, there's a ton. Let's say I want this to have a dewy look. So the nice thing about it is you can click on your clip and then you can kind of click on the effect and then kind of toggle, and it'll show you what the effect will look like on your clip. So you don't have to apply the clip. You can just drag your mouse over the clip and see what it looks like. And then once you find a effect that you like, you can choose that. So you can drag and drop the clip, the effect onto the timeline, onto the clip. So let's say I like this aesthetic. I'm going to drag and drop it onto this first clip, and then I'm going to go up to my inspector window, and here is the retro effect one. So here's where I can change the effect. Anyway, so you can like play around with the hue and saturation. Okay, so let's go to custom. I use custom LUTs a lot. What LUTs stands for is lookup table, and pretty much it's a simple way to alter an image's color and tone. So there are websites out there where you can download a LUTs, and then you can put it into Final Cut Pro. You can upload it into Final Cut Pro, and then you will have your custom LUTs here. So I dragged the custom LUTs onto my clip. Here it says none. I'm going to click this, and now it gives me, I have downloaded a lot of custom LUTs here, and let's see. Let me move this over. So within each pack, it has a LUTs. So here, this is Social 01. And see how it changed the color and the tone of the clip? The key to successful color grading is just being subtle. Small adjustments can make a big difference in the overall feel of your video. So take the time to experiment with different settings to achieve your desired look. Okay, so we've gone over color grading and color correcting. Now we want to add filters and effects. So like I said, this is your transition browser. This is your effects browser, right? Here are the other effects that you can add onto your video. The first clip, right, like I put on this retro effect. I've seen a lot of YouTubers use like the camcorder. So it's really simple and it's pretty easy. You just kind of have to play around with what story do you want to tell through your visuals. So I would definitely experiment with different filters and effects to find the perfect combination for your video's aesthetic. And don't be afraid to try new things and see what style really works for you. Let's talk about transitions, or some transitions that could make your videos look aesthetic. I am currently under the transition browser. Here's my timeline. I'm just going to click on my keyboard. I'm going to click B, which is the blade tool. And I'm just going to cut my clips in half here. Okay, then I'm going to click P, which makes that disappear. So just very quickly, some of the transitions that I've seen used that are pretty popular would be like the simple transitions. Cross dissolve would be one of them. Fade to color is popular. I know I use that a lot. I also use gradient image a lot, and it's simple.
and it's very effective. So here is the first transition. I think this is fade to black. Yeah, can't really tell. So that was the gradient image. Let's see, let me go back up here and take off some of these effects. So we can see the clip a little bit more clear. So yeah, I would just, if you're thinking about using transitions, maybe keep it simple. I know a lot of individuals like to use like this light flare. I know light leaks are really popular. Here's another light leak. Let's see. But all you really have to do is just click and drag. So if there is a transition that you like, all you do is you click and drag, and then you place it in between the two clips that need the transition, or where you would like to have the transition. So I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to make my timeline bigger. I'm going to make the clips bigger. And so here you can see where the transition is in between the two clips. If you want to be dramatic and have a fun dramatic transition coming from one clip to another, that's always fun. And then last but not least, music and sound effects. So for sound effects, you're going to go to the left-hand side of the workspace. So here you have your sidebar, right, which houses all of your events, as well as your library. And then you have your music and your sound effects. So here, this photos, so Final Cut Pro connects with iPhotos. And then you have your music here. This music I have downloaded. So I'm just gonna pull down. So what you wanna do if you wanna use a particular music, all you do is you click and then you drag it down to your timeline, like so. And then you have your music down here. And then here, Apple TV, I'm not exactly sure. So we have some options here under Apple TV, and then you have all of your sound effects that Final Cut Pro does provide, and that you can use, in your video. So let's say if you want to use a clock tick, all you do is you pull it down, and then let's play it. Yeah, you hear that? Yeah, here's bubbles. Let's hear bubbles. Oh, you know what? I don't think this. So it's pretty cool. Another option is going to YouTube and using the YouTube audio library, and going to the YouTube studio and then clicking on audio library, and then pretty much using what they provide. A lot of it, or I think most of it, or all of it actually, is copyright free music and royalty free music. And so, yeah, so that's another option for you. You can, download the tracks and you can import them also into Final Cut Pro. So that is another option. You can go to free music websites. Just make sure if you go to free music websites, you are downloading royalty free and copyright free music. Because you never know, you never know what you're really getting off of the internet. But so you definitely have to check and make sure that all of this music is royalty free and copyright free. Because if it's not, YouTube will flag you, and then your video won't be eligible for monetization. And that's our goal, right? That's all our goal is, to be monetized. I have invested in a paid music service, and so I download pretty much higher quality music, higher quality music. You can also subscribe to paid services like epidemic sound, excuse me, I cannot talk to the epidemic sound, Artlist, and then Motion Ray, which I do. And these services offer royalty-free music with simple licensing terms, and it makes it easy to find the perfect track for all of your projects that you're working on. So I'm gonna make my timeline and my clips smaller, my timeline smaller. So yeah, so these are just a couple ways to make your videos more aesthetic. And there's so, like I said, like there's so many possibilities, and there's so many things that you can do to really amp up your video and make your video unique and different. I didn't even get into, like, you can get into text, you can get into titles, you can under generators, you can like add different elements there. It's just a world, like being a creative, it's absolutely amazing. Like you can really be creative. Like I have cinematic titles. Like you can pick a cinematic title and customize it. That's another way to make your video aesthetic is a title, a unique title like that. As a beginner, I would really stick to like what Final Cut Pro is providing, because they have a lot that they offer. And so like you can start with, transitions, like add a couple transitions, maybe add a couple effects. I know, change up the colors of the effects, of your clips, start there and then kind of move on and try something new. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will be back with another one. Thanks. See you later.